Hello, Ryan. Happy almost Thanksgiving. So, one thing you mentioned was that sports supplies at odd months were some of your favorite birthday presents. Well, one of my favorite birthday gifts was a new pair of basketball shoes. That was usually the highlight gift of the year. I would always try to get something cool but unique and spendy, but not too spendy. I didn't care much about quality fashion except for basketball shoes. So you inquired why Ayang would have difficulty living in the US. I guess difficult is the wrong word choice. It would be more of a long and tedious and cumbersome process. But assuming I had a reasonable and verifiable employment before she moved to the US, it would almost certainly happen. It would just be a bit of a process. So I'm not certain about how getting a green card would work, as this is my first time being married, and this will be my first time living in the US with my non-American wife. So I'll reiterate that I'm not an expert, and we have various friends in similar-ish situations with different levels of ease of obtaining visas and green cards and citizenship, etc. So first, Ayang would need to apply for a basic visa simply to get into the US. So that alone is certainly more complicated than an American traveling to Mexico, for example. So Ayang is a Korean citizen and is not American. But that being said, let's have a look at WikiHow for a brief general overview of the situation. So applying for a green card while in the US. So again, I'm not in the US, she's not in the US, so we'll have to take this with a bit of a grain of salt and realize that it's a slightly different situation. But let's have a look. So one, gather evidence of your marriage. During the process of obtaining a green card, the US government will require proof of your marriage. This is to prevent people from faking marriages to gain citizenship. This happens fairly frequently, so I understand that. A marriage license will be required. We have this, but it's in Korean, so getting it translated will need to happen. In addition, US officials may look for the following proofs of marriage. So we need to get some kind of evidence, which shouldn't be too hard, but documents do need to be gathered. Two, get the necessary paperwork. So there are two forms you have to fill out, I-130 and I-485. Your spouse will fill out this one. I will fill out this one. Uh, and we'll fill that one out together. So I-130 is used for a citizen to establish a relationship between himself and an immediate family member. This form demonstrates that the two partners are married and starts the process for a green card. Form 1 I-485 is the application to adjust your status to a permanent resident of the US if you're already living in the US, da 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 da. So there's forms to fill out. Again, after I move to the US and get a job. Then file the forms together. After you've filed the forms, you have to send it to the proper office to start the process. The forms need to be mailed to this place. Got to pay $500, then got to pay $1,200, and then copies of everything, all the documents. And then an interview, I assume, will need to be interviewed. Sometimes the US government will want to interview both spouses after all the forms have been completed. If this is the case, attend the interview. You may be approved immediately at the interview, or approval may come later. If you're already living in the US, which is not true, okay, the main point of the US of the interview is to determine if a couple is actually married. So we'll have to bring in some evidence, and we'll need to know, I need to remember when and where I was married. So I'll need to study for that. How many people attended? See, this could go wrong a million ways. Where did you meet? Division of household chores, that could get really controversial. And then wait for the green card. Um, it says a few weeks on WikiHow, but based on anecdotes, that could be 2 months or 6 months. We're expecting a long time. So maybe that answers your question. Uh, it's messy, it's complicated, but if I do get a job in the US, my wife will be able to join me as a long-term citizen, not as a citizen, but a long-term resident eventually. But that will be quite a tedious process. If Don or Joe is president, will likely have little to no effect on if Ion can live or work in the US, but there would, in my estimation, most certainly be fewer international students in the US due to worse relationships and visa restrictions. Some noteworthy stats. There are about 185 different types of visas for the US. There were over 1 million international students in the States in 2019, contributing about $45 billion to the economy. So, when moving to different countries as an international couple, working with international students, there's a lot of gray area. And it's difficult for me to concisely express all the factors, but who the US president is significant. In spring 2023, I don't know where I'll be working and living, but it won't be at TIU. And I hope it's Korea or Arizona or California, but we'll see. All right, so it's almost Thanksgiving, and I'm sure that you're thankful for many things. My questions for you are first, what do you do a good job of being grateful for almost every day? What are you thankful for, grateful for on a regular basis? Second, what have you been grateful for recently? Maybe this past month or this past year? Where's that new gratitude in your life? And third, what do you need to do a better job of being grateful for? Where is your gratitude lacking, in other words? All right, I look forward to your answer. Talk to you soon.